My last question for today is going to be around allyship.
Yes.
I tend to close with this a lot because we're trying to create a safe space for allies to learn when they listen to these sessions as well. What are 3 things allies should do more of, right, while we really try to shift the landscape to make it more inclusive?
I'd say call out the BS when we're not in the room.
Okay.
That's a big one. I feel like a lot of people talk about D&I and the importance of diversity in the workplace in a public setting or in front of Wall Street or in front of investors, or even in front of their employees. And then behind closed doors, it's like, we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what sticks. Yeah. I would say if you're an ally in a position of power, creating and establishing real metrics with consequences. So for instance, going back to that 20% example, right? My boss, one of my old bosses, he was asking me like, hey, what do women want from you? What do you need that's so different? And he was telling me that, management told him that he has to hire diversity, as in women, and that for the past, 5 quarters, he hasn't been able to hire anybody. And that there really was no consequence to that, right? So there's that aspect of it where it's like, hey, let's talk about it, but then let's not make it important enough to have action items. So I would say if you're in a position of power and you have a team beneath you and it's something that you want to accomplish, that you have to have metrics around it. You have to set smart goals. Yeah. And then also be conscious of your culture. Some people have rose-colored glasses about their culture and their work environment, and I don't think it's malicious. I just think it's, it's just unconscious bias or just ignorance, right? Sometimes people aren't aware of things until it punches them in the face. Like, they're not aware that, hey, Joe, who runs the meeting, always silences Cecilia. Yeah. But being someone in the room who then turns around and says, yeah, that was a really good point that Cecilia made. I'd like to hear more about her, or whatever it is that she had to say. So, more of those little day-to-day things, because a lot of the issue being a minority, whatever type of minority, is that death by 100 paper cuts. It's these little microaggressions day in and day out that really wear us down. So, those 3 things. I'd say this.
No, so summarizing to some extent, hopefully I didn't miss them. It's like, call out the BS, number 1. Right? Number 2, create consequences so that diversity is not just a check mark, it's more of a action integrated process, right? It's like you're creating sustained change. 3, I would actually state as, don't be a bystander, be an upstander. And if you see something, call it out, make sure that the microaggressions get called out on a day-to-day basis.